Hello and welcome to Tank and AFE News. My name's Tom and this is my daily rant. So the daily rant is usually when I talk about something that I saw online today having to do with tanks that I thought was wrong or needing correction. So today I was looking at the YouTube channel for Lindybeige, who, if you don't know him, he's a sort of somewhat eccentric Englishman who likes to talk about different aspects of warfare and other topics. And he's very entertaining. I do enjoy his channel for the entertainment value. Sometimes there's interesting stuff. The tank content, I feel like there's some details he get wrong. So, you know, he also gets, you know, a magnitude higher number of views than I do, obviously. So I'm just sort of like the guy up in the peanut gallery picking out the flaws here while he's obviously entertaining people with a large audience. But anyway, so today he posted a video about the Stug 3, the Sturmgeschütz, which a very interesting vehicle, one of the most important vehicles the German army had during World War II. And it's a fun video. It's nice. He's filmed on location in front of it's actually a Finnish Stug that was used during the war. You know, I don't have the luxury of going out and standing in front of one because I'm in the United States and Stugs aren't all that common, or tank museums, frankly. And one of the things he says in the video, which... And I'm pointing this out because it's not just something particular to his video, but like I see just pointed out a lot in a lot of different sources, is that the reason the Germans built the Stug is that it's cheaper than a tank. That's one of the advantages of a turretless vehicle. You can mount a bigger gun on the hull. It's less complicated because you don't have that turret mechanism and all that. And that's true. It is cheaper to build a turretless vehicle. What I take issue with is that's not why the Germans built the Stug that way. Then in the late 30s, mid to late 30s, when they sat down and came up with the concept of a Sturmgeschütz as a class of vehicles, they didn't say, let's make something cheaper than a tank. They were trying to come up with something that was fundamentally different from a tank. And part of that had to do with doctrine and discussions within the German armored force and the army in general. And, you know, it's not hard to find this stuff out. I mean, I was just verifying what I was thinking, just looking at my old, you know, Stug 3 assault gun from, by Jensen Doyle from, this is New Vanguard. Oh, which one is this? Doesn't say. Back when they still made them in hardcover. I kind of like these old hardcovers, actually. They look nicer on the bookshelf. But it's pretty clear, because the discussion that was going on was that, so folks like Guderian and whatever were arguing that all the tanks needed to be in the panzer divisions. He didn't want them spread out throughout the whole army. Partly because the Germans just didn't really have enough tanks at that point to, you know, to do that, to be able to spread them out effectively through the entire German army to provide support for the infantry units while still having enough for the panzer divisions. And he just said, you know, this is the way tanks are supposed to be used. They're supposed to be used in these panzer division formations. And other people said, well, that's all well and fine, but the infantry needs some sort of armored support. I mean, that's pretty obvious by that point. And, you know, according to sort of the stories you read, Manstein suggested the Sturmgeschütz, some sort of armored tracked or armored, you know, self-propelled assault gun. And so it's intended to be a very different class of vehicle. It's not a tank. It's actually, the Stugs, when they came out, were considered part of the artillery branch. So it's sort of a competition between the Stug guys and the Panzer guys, because they're different branches of service, and they have their own sort of inner service competition to a certain extent. So the Stug was just intended to be something different. I mean, it's not even close to being a tank. It doesn't have machine guns. It's literally an armored chassis to carry around an infantry cannon. And what happened, because they picked the Panzer III chassis, it turned out to be a very good, versatile design. So the success of the Stug 3 had a lot to do with not just the doctrine and the reasons for it being designed, but the vehicle itself. It was just a good design, and it lent itself to success, essentially, because once the Panzer III tank becomes obsolete as a tank, the Stug 3 is capable of being upgunned with the 75mm, the longer gun, the length 43 or 48, and it's still an effective vehicle. and it gets used more and more in the anti-tank role, which is not what it was intended to be. So, yes, later on in the war, it's a very effective vehicle because it's economical, it's less expensive to produce, and it's quite effective because it's got a good combination of firepower and protection and all that stuff. But that's not the reason it was created in the first place. So, yes, they were cheaper, but that wasn't the reason they were built, and why that type of vehicle was created in the first place. So that's my daily rant for today. Again, I just wanted to point it out because it's one of those things, not just in this recent Lindybeige video, because I see it talked about a lot. And so that's the rant. So hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you on the next one.